Hello, welcome to another session of the Change Exchange. And my guest is Tibbs Motswane, Tabelo Motswane.
Well done. You got that right?
Did I?
Yeah.
Good. You're so welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate
He's
it.
the founder of Show Love Brand Management, not management, consultancy,
Yes.
which started as an events company.
Yeah, it started as parties in Joburg. And then we started throwing events for different brands. And then we managed a lot of South Africa's major talent. And then now we kind of, our slogan is we're the creators of cool. So we kind of, go into companies and give them angles for them to reach their target markets. So, yeah.
Can you remember the first party?
Yes, definitely.
Or maybe only the beginning of the first party.
Look, I remember because everything went horribly wrong.
Oh dear.
So I mean, you never forget that first one.
Tell.
Norwood, a place called a Mo Cafe. I was charging 10 Rand. No one paid. Then I let everybody in for free. Then the sound blew. Then people got in for free, but they got upset. And then just taught me a lot about people, and I've been stronger since.
Why did you do it? Why did you arrange that first party?
So I've always enjoyed going out. My older cousin is Rude Boy Paul, so I was always around like the original YFM crew. So I was like a little roadie, just going out with them. But I've always loved hip hop, so I'd go out and I'd be hearing a lot of deep house, a lot of kwaito back then, but very little hip hop. So I decided to do something about it. Decided to stop complaining. I was at Wits at the time. A lot of the guys at the Wits DJ Academy, like your Dimples and your Milkshakes, they didn't really have gigs at the time, so we decided to start this thing together.
You've also said that growing up in Katlehong, what you learned in the hood was that you have to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah, look, I think I always say that the hood gives you like a blind spot. It's very difficult to explain, but it makes you a negotiator. It makes you see the things that aren't necessarily there, and you kind of figure them out. So everybody in the hood is innovative. Everybody is entrepreneurial, in my opinion. Because you have to. But we didn't know this at the time. So a lot of the stuff that I kind of execute today, I think I learned it just watching people in the hood.
Finding a way for themselves.
Always. What choice do you have?
Yeah. What were you doing at Wits?
I was studying international relations and media studies. I was on a basketball scholarship. Didn't really want to study, but I actually enjoyed it. Yeah.
Did you finish?
No.
Can you remember that decision when you decided, that point when you thought, no, this is not worth it, or this is for whatever reason?
Look, for me, I was already throwing parties, and I didn't see myself in the field, so to speak, in terms of media studies and international relations with the prototype sort of jobs that were presented. I was already in entertainment by default, and I guess I just wanted to stop wasting everybody's time and just start doing what I wanted to do.
And how did the realization come that organizing parties could actually be not a job, but could earn you a living?
Well, I mean, at the time I was still under my parents' roof, but it got me everything that I wanted. It got me fresh sneakers. It got me a reputation, and I could walk into other establishments. You walk past the line, you feel cool. The people with you look cool. It helped me network very, very quickly. And I always knew it was a thing. Obviously, at the time, I'm reading stuff like The Source, Rap Pages, Vibe Magazine. So I already knew it existed somewhere else. It just didn't exist here. And I was more than willing to be the guy to kind of push it forward.
And how did it grow? How did it find its feet?
Look, it grew for me with the name, with the name Show Love. I was always looking for the next DJ, or I was always looking for the next rapper, or the coolest graphic designer, or who's the best on the dance floor, and like we, get them a bottle. And I mean, back then getting a bottle was like a big thing, So it was always about showing love, and that's how we grew it.
Showing love in the sense of making connections
Yeah,
and giving other people a platform for their best talent.
I mean, I wasn't the rapper, I wasn't the DJ, I wasn't the graphic designer, but I enjoyed all of that, and I knew how to make their talent grow. I wasn't taught how to do it. Maybe just again being an observer, I knew that this thing could be a vehicle for a lot of people. I don't know how I knew it, but I did.
And then, as you said, you became the manager for a number of rappers, among them AKA, for example. Was that a big step? Was it a big change?
I think it was a very natural step. There wasn't much change at the time. Again, with the development of talent, and then you also develop competition. So now there's other hip hop parties, and they're also cool, and they've also got beautiful girls, and so you got to stay in the game. So he was kind of like a show love hype man in the beginning. I had a relationship with.
So he was a brand ambassador.
Yeah, he was definitely like a show love influencer. Had a relationship with the Ivy League, which was the production house that he was a part of. And I would hear his music, and I'd put him on stages, put him on my stages, and in terms of managing him, it was probably the most organic thing ever. Like, it just happened. Literally, he was in my apartment in Killarney, and we were working. We were just working on stuff.
So what is your advice to young people getting into this space, if I can use that word that I do not like? I want to say there's a lot of self-belief that I can do this, even though I've never done it.
Sure.
I can just take the next step, and it comes easy, and I do the next thing. Is that how it happened?
For me, it's a great era. I mean, there's a lot of guys my age now that are doing exceptionally well that were starting out back then. I look at guys like Thapelo Mokoena, your Lungile Khadus, your Siyabonga Ngwegazis. We were all young guys just loving this music and just hustling in whatever we did, and then this is where we would congregate. So
there was a kind of generation
100%
coming up.
100%. And again, I go back to the love. We enjoyed it. And what I see now is that now there's money. It's clear that you can make money doing this if you do it well, and if people buy in, of course. And I think a lot of people are trying to do it because of the money. And I've seen more people lose money than make money in this game personally. So my advice is to do it firstly because you enjoy it, and if you enjoy it, learn as much as you can about it. We weren't armed with, knowledge about the music industry, about patenting, about trademarking, about all these things that, who knows, maybe we'd be sitting on a lot of money now if we did, learn the game. The internet's a beautiful thing. The information is there. Arm yourself with knowledge and do it because you enjoy it, because that's the part that's also going to keep you sane. Because when your gigs are empty and the executions don't work out and you don't make money, then you have to really look inside yourself.
Yeah, how does one get past the low points? Because especially if you're working for yourself, you have to generate your own income. There's no one writing a check or, paying in money into your account at the end of the month. How does one lift yourself up again when you've fallen?
Hopefully you've got good people around you. But again, it's always going back to the foundation of why did I do this in the first place? And then you can always track back. Maybe I didn't hand out flyers. Maybe I didn't go to this place where I know that the traction from this place, it spills over into the event.
Mm.
So your basics, you have your basics, and because you're doing well, sometimes you get comfortable, and you rest on your own laurels, and you develop an ego, and you just think people are gonna come, because it's you, So when you get a punch in the stomach, you just go back to your basics.
Well, and you look with very clear eyes at why did this happen.
That's it.
And
That's it.
not kind of fall into a heap and say, oh, I can't do this, or I'm a failure.
That's it.
Because
there's a reason why it happened.
Yeah.
And
it's not the universe, it's you.
Maybe you didn't check the weather forecast.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it happened. Yeah.
And how did the business grow into brands? And you say that you're now a brand consultant.
Look, again, it was this young generation of even the young brand managers, because there's like promo companies, and there'd be the young guys at this beer company, and they want to activate. That's when we started learning about sponsorships, and activating, product placement in music videos, all the stuff that I think has spilled over into what people call, influencing now. What influencers are now, for me, it's the same thing. Every 3 years or so, there's a new name for the same thing, But we were learning that, we just didn't know what it was, So in doing that, you develop the relationships, because those guys from about a decade ago are now very senior, and you've got a relationship that you've developed over years, and you can sit down and you can have dinners, and you can talk about their plans and their strategy.
Networks,
Yeah, that's it. And you build them over years. Yeah.
So pay attention
Sure.
to every interaction, because you never know where this person goes.
Including your friends. I always tell people we don't network with our own friends, because maybe my friend has the contact that I need, but I haven't told my friend what I'm trying to do. Maybe he golfs with that guy, and I'm literally one person away from that guy. And so we got to constantly network.
You use the word cool every now and again in talking, but also everywhere.
Sure. It's what I sell.
What do you mean?
Well, at the end of the day, when I was throwing parties, people had to feel cool at the party. People came to the party because it was a cool party.
Cool as in the in crowd.
In crowd, in music, in slang, in fashion, in brands. We became the platform for kind of like endorsing what was cool. And I think every brand, every industry needs a level of cool.
So when you're now partnering, for example, with Diners Club, what are they buying? What are you offering them?
Well, look, I think they have cool products, and I don't think everybody knows about their cool products. So it's my responsibility to engage with the potential new members in a cool way, that they can learn what Diners Club has to offer. And, if the client wins, I win, and then people win, right? Yeah. And how cool is that?
Social media is such a huge part of what you do.
Yeah.
How does one stay centered so that you don't get pulled this way and that by that one's response and that one's response? Because everyone has an opinion.
Sure. Look, for me, I think the one thing about social media that people forget is the social part. I chose to follow you. I like your pictures, or I like your commentary. Maybe you speak about basketball, and I chat to you. I think every once in a while it can get to a dark place. I think there's a lot of people that are there just to cause tension. But if you remember why you were there in the first place, you'll be fine. Well, I'm fine.
Tell me about the start of Cafe Tips and your interest in cooking, becoming a chef.
Sure. Look, I've always cooked.
Why? Did you stand at your mother's elbow?
Well, I've always loved food. So I put it that way. I was a clinically obese child, and doctors made my parents put me on all these bland diets that, I think I was depressed. I definitely wasn't happy, you know. And I had to lose a lot of weight. And in losing the weight, it's when I became pretty decent at basketball. And I got to travel a bit through basketball. So I'd be somewhere, I'd eat something amazing, like in Brussels or something, and I'd want to eat it at home, and my mother'd be like, dude, no one's gonna make that for you, you know? And I would try to figure out how to make it for myself, because they would give us like per diem and like pocket money. So I started, you know, getting my own groceries, you know, started, you know, burning up my mother's kitchen and just learning about food and cooking. And then as I got older, I was always the guy that was in charge of food. Um, if I liked a girl, I would offer to cook for her, you know, and it usually worked. And then, yeah, with
Baby magnet.
with Cafe Teebs, I had actually taken a break from the entertainment scene in about 2015, you know, and I was spending a lot of time alone, watching a lot of documentaries, traveling a little bit. And then when I travel, I'd come across like these supper clubs, you know, and I'm like, why don't we have these at home? Like, this is so cool, a place where you can dress up. There's a little bit of music, you know, there's a late kitchen, you know, because our kitchens close at 10 p.m. for whatever reason.
What's the difference between a supper club and a restaurant?
To be honest, nothing. You know, it's more look and feel. You know?
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds great. In fact, the original name for Cafe Teebs was the Supper Club in my head. You know, so I approached a few brands and I said, look, let's try this. You know, kind of like at the time, Brisky Cognac was the first to come on board. So the thing was pairing food with the cognac. And I was like, I don't think people are used to this. So let's put it out there. I did my first one and my goal was 100 people, you know, and I got 68 people. So I was pretty happy. And then what I realized was,
where did you do it? In an existing restaurant?
I did it at a restaurant called Verdicchio in Monte Cassino. It's beautiful. It's got this wine cellar that goes all the way downstairs. It's crazy. I did it there, pretty successful, but then I studied this thing again, and I was like, you know, I think an abused word in Johannesburg is the word exclusive, you know, and I was like, I actually want to take over this word and have an exclusive thing that you can't just come. Like, people mustn't know how they can get to Cafe Teebs. And so I started doing invite only, secret dines. People wouldn't know where the venue was. I would invite people and I would tell them on the day, I would tell them that there's security, don't bring your friend, you know, you know, only you. Then I'd have great cameraman, you know, great photographer. So now we're building the FOMO on social media and it became a thing. So now.
How long have you been going?
Since 2016, October.
How many do you do in a year?
I probably do about one a month. Well, there's ones I've done that people actually have never seen and they never will, you know, just for specific clients. But it's become another vehicle. For me, it's become, you know, it's like music, you know, it's like the Show Love platform. So it's not DJs anymore. It's young chefs, you know. It's,
do you cook yourself?
I definitely cook myself. I develop a lot of the recipes myself. I've got a young team, but in the end, I have to approve. I mean, I just signed my book deal, you know, so next year I'll be coming out with a book.
A cookbook or a memoir or a what?
So it's the food is definitely the base, you know, but I want food to spill over into all the things that I enjoy. So wine, cocktails, art, fashion, travel. So I'm going to take a year to really, really structure this thing and nail it. And my goal is March 2020. So, yeah.
Can I ask you, you said that you were clinically obese as a child, and so many people struggle with that. How do you manage your relationship with food? Because one has to eat. You can't, you know, if you're an alcoholic or whatever, you can give it up. but you can't give up food.
You know,
So,
again, you know, I think the beauty of spending time on stuff. You know, I've fortunately been able to learn that healthy food doesn't have to be bland. You know, healthy food can taste great, that you can have a beautiful meal and it's good for you. You know, so I mean, I definitely didn't know that growing up. You know, I thought the healthiest thing you could eat was fruit. You know, I mean, at the time, I think we even thought pasta was healthy and good for us. You know, juice. But my relationship with food is I eat for nourishment. You know, I went to boxing this morning. I had egg whites, you know, because it's good for me. You know, I made my lady some fish before I came here, you know, because it's good for me and because she likes fish. You know, I probably won't have the healthiest thing, you know, late afternoon, but it's a balance and it's nourishment, and I always try and make the smartest decision in the situation. You know, I mean, if I'm leaving the club at 4 a.m., you know, no smart decisions will be made, you know, regardless. So yeah.
so is there a simple line of advice for people who are struggling?
Fresh. Eat as much fresh as possible.
And cut out sugar.
Yeah, it's the processed stuff. You know, it's the processed stuff that's hurting you. It's the stuff that says low fat, you know, it's hurting you. Like fresh, fresh, fresh.
Because so much of what says low fat it has sugar in it, or some kind of sweetener.
Or it's processed, or there's something that they have to do to maintain it and keep it that way.
And to make it taste good, as though it doesn't have the cream or the whatever.
And I mean, put in the time, you know, to learn, you know, about like seasoning, you know, because also we have to watch our salt. You know, cholesterol is a real thing, but something like garlic and lemon juice can do so much for most dishes. You know, so just cook, man. You know, just cook, just play with food. Just you'll enjoy it.
And instead of thinking of it as almost an enemy, turn it around and focus on it and turn it to your advantage.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, why wouldn't you want to eat a great meal?
Yeah.
You know, just take care of what you consume. Yeah.
Tell me about the birth of Atelier, your sparkling wine.
My sparkling wine, my MCC.
Yeah.
So again, 2016, you know, was this year of just trying to, I guess, kind of kindle with Teebs and find myself. And I was spending a lot of time in the Western Cape as well. And the farm, Wildekranz, they approached me. At the time, they wanted me to be an ambassador, I guess similar to like an influencer thing. So I spent some time on the farm, and I was fortunate enough to spend some time with the winemaker. And he was telling me about MCC, how South African MCC is really, really going to take over the world. He was talking a lot about Chenin, you know, how Chenin, South African Chenin is just beautiful and we're going to take over the world. And then I went away and I sat by myself and I dropped my email. And my suggestion was that I don't want to be an ambassador. I want to partner up in something great. At the time, I was reading up a lot on how the systems work for like Uber and your Airbnbs. So companies that basically don't have, you know, the running cost of certain things. So you own cars, but you don't. You know, you own properties, but you don't. You know, and I was like, I don't want to own a wine farm. You know, I don't want to take care of 300 plus people, but I want to own wine. So how can we do this? You know, and we back and forth, and then we agreed that I'd take over certain vintages, and I'd create a completely new brand. So Atelier is from scratch. You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about the name. We are roughly 16 months old now. We're getting into our second vintages, and yeah, I think we're gonna be a major player in the MCC game. worldwide, like not just here.
Tibbs, but as someone who's 25 years older than you are,
Doesn't show.
I thank you so much. He's cool. It seems to me that there's a new generation, a new market coming through of cool Black South Africans.
Oh, okay.
Yes?
Look, I don't know about you.
Or am I seeing this in old-fashioned terms and I shouldn't?
I think I understand why it's probably new to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank
but
you.
I
I really feel that I've been an outsider for a very long time.
We're just louder about what we enjoy. You know, I think also, I mean, there's always the debates about whether or not we have a middle class, you know, but I think we've developed our taste. You know, we know what's for us and what's no longer for us. We're not doing things just to show that we've arrived anymore. You know, and I understand why we had to do that as well. You know, I mean, 25-year-old Teebs definitely did some unnecessary things. You know, but I'm glad they're out the way. You know, so now we've developed taste. You know, whether it's cuisine, whether it's wine, whether it's travel, whether it's fashion, whether it's where we live, whether it's where we hang out, you know, it's how we get groomed. We're very comfortable with being Black. You know, we know that being Black is beautiful, and we don't even have to be aggressive about that anymore. We are Black and we are beautiful. Yeah.
And the Black men, I was fascinated. There's Gillette at the moment, there's Vaseline, there's someone else, all centering their campaigns around Black masculinity.
Sure. Well, look, I think it's very important because for the longest time, I mean, with respect, something as simple as men's health, I mean, you only ever saw, you know, white guys with six packs, you know what I mean? And you've seen that change a lot in the last year, that we have different needs. You know, we ate different things when we were 10, 11 years old, you know, so we developed differently, you know what I mean? So you have to take that into account if you want our money. You know, if you want to speak to us, you have to understand us. So we're vocal about that. You know, we learning about that. You know, we understand something as simple as, you know, maybe speaking to a dietitian if you're in sports, you know, like you have to take care of yourself. We see too many Black athletes that just, you know, maybe don't develop the way they're supposed to develop. And a lot of that is nutrition. You know,
and do you think this new consciousness will help us as a country deal with violence against women and children if men see themselves differently?
Look, I think the most important thing that has to happen with men is for men to speak to men. You know, I think there's a big gap there where guys don't speak to each other. Guys expect each other to be strong, you know, and I think it's taken out on women. You know, because when you're with your guy friends, you are perfect, you know, but guys don't feel the need to be perfect around their women. And I think that weakness makes them act a certain way, you know.
Interesting view.
Yeah, it's like a question, there's a common question in Joburg, like, how's business? You know what I mean? And I was like, do you really want to know? You know, and because guys just expect the great answer. Oh yeah, things are good, man, picking up, you know, whatever. Like, maybe things aren't good, you know, but now there's the facade of, I can't let people think that things aren't good. And then you get home and then you don't want to be home.
You don't only kick the dog. Talk about home.
Yes.
Where have you chosen to live and why?
I currently live in Bryanston. Initially when I moved there, it wasn't my favorite place in the world, but work was around there. A lot of the agencies are around there. My office is around here in Sandton, but I don't spend too much time there. Yeah, but I've adjusted. You know, I like Bryanston now. You know, I can deal with William Nico.
And the space, what made you choose that specific space? Do you like big windows? Do you like coziness? Trees outside?
Look, my complex is pretty big, but it's quiet. You know, so it's close enough to everything, but I can definitely hide, and that's important for me.
And how do you take the cool concept in there? What do you do?
Into home,
Yeah.
it's very old school. You know, huge couch, coffee table, lots of books, you know, lots of old LPs, and then always a full fridge. You know? Yeah.
And do you like many people around you in your own space, or
No.
is that your private place?
Very, very, very quiet, very, very private. Very few people get to come there.
So it's exclusive.
Yeah, very exclusive.
And plans?
You know, look, there's things that are on the cards, and they're growing every day. So from Atelier to Cafe Teebs and the spaces that Cafe Teebs is getting me into, to the consistent work we're doing for clients like Diners Club. So for me, it's just about consistency. You know, traveling more, hopefully do more things on a global scale. Yeah, the plan is just to grow.
Fantastic, and good luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for spending time with us. All of the very best until the next time. Goodbye.